That's when the fans and media begin to realize what actually happened here. They realized that if McCall Riley hadn't made that shot to send the game into overtime, 20,000 people would have potentially been on the street leaving the arena exactly at the moment that the tornado tore through downtown.
That's a fact. And as somebody who goes to events here, the streets is packed after events. It's packed. Traffic, trash. Traffic is trash.
Friday, March 14, 2008, and the SEC basketball tournament is underway in Atlanta, Georgia. Alabama is set to square off against Mississippi State in what should be a good game.
2 cars in a row here, 3 taxis and another car were tossed around by the storm, thrown around, the windows all blown out.
The tornado had a total path length of 6 miles and a maximum path width of 200 yards. Maximum wind speeds of the tornado were estimated to be 130 miles per hour, which is a high-end EF2. The tornado also caused 30 injuries and 1 fatality.
YouTube! It's your boy, the one, J. Osh. Welcome back with another video. You know what I'm saying? We back in this thing, man. We almost at 170 subscribers. Shout out to each and one of y'all. We growing, man. We growing. We don't mind grinding for what we want. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, it's all good. Every one subscriber matters to me. Simple. You know what I'm saying? Every person that watches the video matters to me. Simple. You know, everybody likes to down people who, you know, because you got all these people that has thousands of views and millions of views. Man, I feel like if you like what you're doing, or if you know, you can relate that to money. If you like what you're doing, and you passionate about what you're doing, eventually you'll get to the money. I feel like the money will find you. So I love our growth. I love my little community right now, cause I appreciate every one of y'all. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate even the people that's not subscribed. You should be subscribed, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like I said, we on the grind. We gonna get there. But hey, we're watching this. This is another video that was recommended by y'all. You know what I'm saying? How a basketball game saved thousands of lives from a tornado. Basically, a basketball game saved people from getting hit by a tornado. I don't know nothing about this. All I know this happened in 2008. And I found out it happened in my city. I didn't know nothing about it, because 2008, 2008, I was 11? like 11? I didn't know nothing about this, dog. You know what I'm saying? I was still in Clayco. I didn't know nothing about this. You know. So, hey, let's get into this video, man.
March 14th, 2008, in the SEC basketball tournament, with Alabama trailing Mississippi State 50.
I hate seeing Alabama. I hate it every time they come to my city. I hate having Bama in our city for the games.
9:56, with only seconds left in the game. Alabama needs some last-second miracle
in order to extend
the game and their season when this happens.
They about to fucking lose. Motherfucker.
Alabama guard McCall Riley makes a buzzer-beater 3 to tie the game at 59-59 and send it to overtime. By making this shot, McCall Riley likely just saved thousands of lives from an oncoming tornado.
What?
Let me explain.
Oh, okay, so basically he prolonged the game.
It's Friday, March 14, 2008, and the SEC basketball tournament is underway in Atlanta, Georgia. Alabama is set to square off against Mississippi State in what should be a good game. This proved to be true as the game approached the last couple of minutes with both teams tied at 56 apiece. With less than a minute to go, Mississippi State retakes the lead 59-56, leaving Alabama in a do-or-die situation. It's now approaching 9:30 p.m. local time, and there's only 7 seconds left in regulation of the game. Alabama then inbounded the ball, and Mississippi State tried to intentionally foul so the game could never get to overtime.
They could have called
but the
that a foul,
referees
by the
did
way.
not call the foul.
But hey,
that
this
play
was
took
some
up
fate.
5 of the
This
7
is fate
remaining
right here.
seconds, meaning that
If they would've
Alabama
called that
had
foul, the
one
game
play
probably
left in the
would've
game to tie it. Alabama had
Oh,
time to
hey,
inbound the ball to
This is
McCall
some
Riley,
fate right
who
here.
shot
That's
to
fate.
save their
Everything
season.
worked out how it was supposed to.
Riley for three.
That's insane.
The ball
Fucking
rattles
ass.
around the rim and then drops in to send the game into overtime in miraculous fashion. It's now a few minutes after 9:30 p.m. local time, and the basketball game is preparing to start the overtime period. Meanwhile, on the west side of the city, a nasty thunderstorm is beginning to
Oh, you
enter
see
the
that
area.
hook?
In a surprising
Not
turn
good.
of events, severe weather was actually anticipated the next day on Saturday, March 15th, but not for that Friday night.
That's crazy.
In fact, the Storm Prediction Center for most of that day did not predict any chance of a tornado happening in the Atlanta area.
Wow.
However, when they put out their most recent outlook at roughly 8 p.m.
Hey,
that night,
hey, y'all see, hold on. That where Clayco is. Clayco over here, in this little area. You know what I'm saying? Stop bridge off to the side, but yeah, Clayco right here. This is all Clayco. You know what I'm saying?
they noticed the isolated storm that was heading towards
Shout
the
out
metro
everybody for
area and
Clayco,
decided
you
to
know what I'm
expand
saying?
the 2% risk into the metro. As the storm enters the city limits, the rotation significantly intensifies, and soon thereafter a tornado enters the
Let's
city
say,
limits.
why they got Mercedes-Benz already here on this map? This is an updated map. They already got the new Falcon Stadium. Hey, he had to use what he had to use, I
Rotation
guess.
significantly intensifies, and soon thereafter a tornado develops. Meanwhile, back at the Georgia Dome, the teams begin the 5-minute overtime period, completely unaware of the situation that's developing. They play the first minute and a half of the overtime period without issue, and then things begin to get weird. With roughly 3.5 minutes remaining in the overtime, the quality of the TV broadcast noticeably starts to degrade. The storm that was coming in gradually begins to interrupt the TV signal more and more until you can barely make out what's happening in the game. Viewers soon thereafter begin to realize that something very obviously is amiss. With 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the overtime period, Alabama is fouled, and just seconds later a loud sound begins to envelop the Georgia Dome and the building begins to shake. The players and everybody else in the stadium instantly freeze, trying to figure out what's going on. Just moments later, pandemonium begins to set in at the Georgia Dome as the tornado begins to enter the downtown area. Small debris from the roof then begin to rain down, which influence the players, coaches, and referees to head into the locker rooms to seek shelter. The fans who are in attendance begin to panic, and some of them try exiting the building in fear that the roof may collapse on them. However, officials were quickly notified that the situation outside of the stadium was even worse, and fans were notified to stay where they were. Slowly throughout the next few minutes, the situation began to calm down and the shaking slowly ceased, but the damage was still very evident. Some pieces of debris are still raining down, and there are numerous holes in the side of the building where people could see straight through to the outside and see lightning from the storm. Once the situation calmed down, the next thought on everybody's mind was what's going to be done about the remainder of the game. Meteorologists then advised the people in charge that they in
I had
fact
no
had
idea
another
what was going
thunderstorm
on.
coming into Atlanta, but they had roughly 1 hour before it arrived. The event organizers then decided to finish the current game since there was only 2.5 minutes left, and then decide what to do about the next game after.
Bro, there was an hour delay, and y'all gotta play the last 2 minutes of a playoff game? Bro, from a competitor's like perspective, bro, that's for any type of sport. You playing something, yo, adrenaline going, you loose, your blood's pumping. For you to sit down for an hour, then you gotta go out there and play clutch time minutes.
After a delay that lasted for more than an hour, the game resumes at roughly 10:50
Man, out here
p.m.
breaking free throws.
Just like the end of regulation, the game comes down to the wire in overtime, with Mississippi State holding a
junk outta here. That was a terrible
69-67
take.
lead with just a half a second left. Once again, Alabama has time for just one more shot, which once again falls into the hands of McCall Riley. However, this time though, the rim is not as kind to him, and his three-point attempt to win the game rattles out and Mississippi State
Bama
wins.
lost. Yeah.
Now that the game between Alabama and Mississippi State has ended, officials could begin to try and decide what to do
shout out to
about the
bro,
next
'cause he
game
hit
that
the
was
one that
supposed to
mattered.
begin
He saved
momentarily.
people.
Meteorologists once again confirmed that another storm was still heading towards the city and the structural integrity of the Georgia Dome was still in question. At this point, structural engineers arrived on site to
Y'all
let
can't have
officials
next
know
game.
that the stadium was more damaged than previously thought. They also notified the officials that the stadium was most likely not waterproof anymore, meaning it would not be safe or logical to play the final game of the night. It was then announced over the PA system that the final game of the night would not be played at the current time, and all the spectators had to leave the building immediately.
Tonight's game between the University of Kentucky and the University of Georgia has been...
Oh no, they canceled the Kentucky and Georgia game? Oh, I'd be fucking heated, bruh. I'd be heated. I don't give a fuck about that storm. Hell no, I got tickets for this shit. My home team about to play Kentucky. Trying to remember who the fuck was on Kentucky in 2008. But hell no.
The fans, staff, coaches, and players soon thereafter step
Oh,
outside into
shit.
an almost unrecognizable downtown Atlanta. Trees were brought down, cars were thrown, windows were shattered, buildings were destroyed, and there was
Damn.
debris everywhere.
Woo!
Cars in a row here. Three
Damn.
taxis and another car were tossed around by the storm, thrown around, the windows all blown out of them, and just people walking around in just dazed wonderment that this thing blew through without much warning at all.
It was initially thought that there was no fatalities because there was nobody on the streets at the time that the tornado struck. However, this was eventually proven as false, as a few days after the tornado, one body was found in the debris of a destroyed building. That's when the fans and media begin to realize what actually happened here. They realized that if McCall Riley hadn't made that shot to send the game into overtime, 20,000 people would have potentially been on the street leaving the arena exactly at the moment that the tornado tore through
That's
downtown.
a fact.
There's no
And as somebody who goes to events here, the streets is packed after events. It's packed. Traffic, trash. Traffic is trash. I'm surprised more didn't happen. Everybody and their mama must have been at this game. Because traffic, garbage after events. It's terrible. But there's people walking everywhere after these events. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro.
no way of knowing how
bro's a
many
hero.
fatalities there would have been had this hypothetical situation actually happened. But we do know that it would have been way, way more
That's
than the
a-
one fatality that did actually happen.
Yeah.
Now that the tornado and sporting event were over, the National Weather Service could begin to survey the damage that the tornado caused. The isolated supercell which would spawn the tornado developed in northeast Alabama around 6 p.m. and tracked directly towards Atlanta in the coming hours. The tornado itself first touched down near the intersection of Simpson and Burbank Streets in the Vine City neighborhood just west of downtown Atlanta. The tornado touched down just minutes after 9:30 p.m. and tracked almost due east. As the tornado tracked east, it moved directly over the center of the Georgia World Congress Center.
Yeah, that's the Georgia World Congress Center. This was about around where the Georgia Dome was, pretty much. Hold on. Yeah, wait. Cause it touched the Georgia Dome. Either that or it was the fucking outside winds hitting it. Because the Georgia Dome was originally like over here somewhere. This is the World Congress Center. This is State Farm Arena over here, which used to be Phillips Arena. And then you had like the Omni and CNN Center right here. That's kind of attached to the State Farm and Phillips Arena. And then Piedmont Park right here. It's crazy.
About 100 yards north of the Georgia Dome. It then hit the CNN Omni Hotel complex
Yeah,
and
so
the
like,
Phillips Arena.
okay, because so your path, Brody. The way that shit started happening, it sounded like it was getting hit. Like, or at least the outside was hitting it. So it must have been big. My guess is if the tornado was like 100 yards big or something, it could still have hit it. But it wasn't getting hit by the core. You know what I'm saying? It got hit by the outside of it. That's my guess.
It then moved
That's my
across
guess.
the Equitable Bank
Depends
Tower
on how big
and
the
across
tornado was.
Interstate 75 and 85. It then moved
75.
into the Cotton Mills Loft across from the Oakland Cemetery located near the Fulton-DeKalb County line. After this, the tornado weakened but continued moving into extreme western DeKalb County before finally lifting for good. The tornado had a total path length of 6 miles and a maximum path width of 200 yards. Maximum wind speeds
Okay.
of the tornado
Yeah.
were estimated to be 130 miles per hour, which is a high-end EF2. The tornado also
almost
caused
got
30
EF3.
injuries and 1 fatality. The tornado had
EF3 is like 150, right? I think.
a path width of 100 yards as it moved across the Georgia World Congress Center. Also, at this point, the tornado was at EF1 intensity. At least 50 homes were damaged by the tornado, as were several
Yeah, there go the
multi-story
Omni. That's
towers
CNN
and
Center.
commercial buildings near and
CNN
east of
Center's-
Centennial Olympic
CNN
Park.
Center's attached to it.
Windows were blown
Yeah,
out
there
of
goes
several of these
Centennial Park.
high-rise towers buildings at different levels. Damage in the residential and industrial areas ranged from roofing materials blown from homes and
Centennial
businesses to
Olympic
trees
Park.
falling on structures
Nobody
and
really calls it
vehicles.
Olympic Park, bro.
The Cotton Mills Loft experienced some of the most
Centennial
significant damage, with the roof blown off and the exterior walls on the top floor blown inward. 2 sections of the 4th floor collapsed
Damn,
all the
that
way
building
into
got
the basement
smoked.
of the building, trapping
And
several
that's
people.
brick.
And most of the injuries related to the tornado happened at this location. It's now the next day, Saturday, March 15th, 2008, and residents are on extra high alert. Their city has just been struck by a high-end EF2 tornado on a day where tornadoes and storms weren't forecasted.
Yeah,
and they have now
that's-
arrived to the day where tornadoes and storms
That's
are
crazy.
actually forecasted. The Storm Prediction Center was not holding back about the threat, immediately issuing a moderate risk with a 15% chance of strong tornadoes in the metro area. The situation then grows even more tense when the risk is upgraded at 4 p.m. to a high risk with a 30%
It
chance
went
of
all the way
strong
to South
tornadoes
Carolina
now.
too.
Storms initially formed near the Georgia-Alabama border around 2 p.m. and tracked due east towards the metro area.
Hey man, hold on, man. Hold on, wait.
The Alabama border around 2 p.m. and tracked due east towards the metro area. As the clock closed in on 4 p.m.
That would've
local
sucked.
time,
That would've hit
the
directly
National
in the
Weather
middle.
Service and locals began watching radar anxiously. An arc of tornadic supercells was entering the area, with one of the nastiest looking ones heading straight towards Atlanta. Residents watched on the news as the live cameras from downtown Atlanta looked to have a view of a large tornado on the ground coming straight for the city. The National Weather Service was taking no chances and soon thereafter issued a tornado emergency for downtown Atlanta. However, it turned out later that there was no tornado at all, and what residents were likely seeing on the live cam was a rain shaft or a shelf cloud or something.
Oh.
Atlanta ended up dodging that bullet and
Man, boy, hey, if you would have showed me a picture or 2 pictures and you would have been like, hey, is this a tornado? I would have fucking said it was a tornado. I would have
did
thought
for
it
the
was
rest
too.
of that severe weather outbreak as well. Although Atlanta was spared from this
South
event,
Carolina
many
got
others
smoked.
in the area were not as lucky, as the severe weather outbreak ended up producing dozens and dozens of tornadoes across portions of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Atlanta residents now, though, could finally begin to breathe a sigh of relief and begin picking up the pieces from the tornado that came through on Friday night. Atlanta dodged 2 major bullets in the span of less than 24 hours, and residents will be forever grateful. Locals are also forever grateful for what started off the whole sequence of events. McCall Riley hitting the game-tying shot to send the game into overtime and likely saving thousands.
Well, that video ended abruptly as hell. But shout out to Riley. You saved a whole bunch of lives. Tornado scientists that solved a plane crash. It's interesting. Might have to watch this video too. But hey, look. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. That's crazy. I was 11 years old when this shit happened. Don't be trying to do math and shit. Yeah, you could figure out my age from that, but relax. But yeah, man, I was young. I think I did the math right. I might not even did the math right. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all think about that, man. That's crazy though. But yeah, cause he definitely saved a lot of lives. Cause like I said, traffic, and people walking after events, terrible in Atlanta. But hey, man, like, share, comment, subscribe to your boy. What you doing? It's your boy J Osh, and I'm out. Hey.